Yes, greetings and give thanks to life, honorable brothers and sisters out there. Those of the faith and those of the unfaithful. We are one people, so give thanks. Yeah. As they say, one God for us all, one creator. Humanity, as it stands. So, before we continue, I just want you to subscribe to the channel. I mean, it's my first live, so I just want you to subscribe to the channel. And anyway, you see Ison with the underscore. Yeah, man, just hit the buzzer, hit the button. You see it, nothing funny. So tonight, the topic is about who is our creator or God. So every man have an in-depth search, and we have a desire to know what is the unknown. That is the greatest unknown to man. Who is this creator? Every man have a great desire to know his parents. Maybe somebody who brought him up. Maybe even one stepfather. Maybe a woman who bring him up that is not even his own mother. So we all share the same desire. I believe through all civilizations to have an understanding of who is our creator. Because as you can look around, you can see everything besides the material stands that man took to his understanding in the sense of building civilization. See, nature. Nature is a design not by man. Nature is an authentic design. So, again, remember, so don't forget to subscribe to the channel, I appreciate much. So the topic tonight is about who is our God or who is our creator. Basically, I'm not a religious cleric. I'm not certified in religion, and I don't have a pastorate, so let me just underline that just in case. But the conversation may be based on biblical terms or references. Sorry, I don't have my Bible here with me tonight, but say every man have one on every house. A lot of interpretations about the book. Some people say it's spiritual, some people say it's physical, this call and that call, but so we have to be whimsical, you got to be wise, yeah, thoughtful. So I chose this conversation, for my first live because I realized in every reason and discussion with man and man, we does have a lot of differences on that aspect. And even as indebted in religion as we may be, we still have a misunderstanding that cannot make us come together with our belief. Why is that so? I do not know. His answer for the questions though. See? So I like to make my first reference from the book of Genesis. The first encounter with the book of Genesis, with man being placed in the Garden of Eden. See? As I say again, people, I would have loved to have my Bible with me to make the straight biblical references or the other books pertaining to the informations I speak of. So I do apologize for that. But out of my thought, yeah. So we can go to the book of Genesis. And we can make some references to when man was placed in the garden. And man was placed there as a physical being. He wasn't created there. He was placed in the garden as a physical being. And he was given regulations to live by, applications and rules to follow, as we should say, some do and some don'ts. These were not spiritual rules. These were physical rules. Don't do this, you shall, or you can't do that. Nothing spiritual about that, people. It's the same present day aspect in society today. So we see two people placed in a garden by God. Goodness. And God tell them, say, yo, this is the application of the garden. What must be done and what must not be done. But in the contrary of the reading, as I say, I do apologize again for not having the book so we can flow through straight. But in the contrary of the reading, we see where man was intervened by another being. Another highly important being, who we say is the devil. So this being had some authority to come into this garden and he get himself in. Maybe, as I said, this guy is as a snake. Why couldn't be a bird? Another creature. But they say a snake. So this individual that came to the garden was of some kind of reptilian influence. A snake is a reptile, though? Yes. He come with some reptilian influence. And he came to the first people and showed them, say, well, me and God in the same rank. So, just what I'm telling you about the don'ts and the do's. They are not precise information. If you do the don't, you can become like one of us, knowing good and evil. I try my best to bring it to the rightest terms, according to the Bible reference, right? If you do the don'ts, or if you do the things that was said not to do, you will become like one of us. So this is the reference that they used to say that this individual who is the reptile is a tricky person to come tell the two first people them don't do what God said to do, or do the don'ts in that sense. So him say no, it's not so it go. From the moment you do that, you'll become like one of us. You won't become like me. You won't become like him. But you will become like one of us. Why one of us? Why not like me? Why not like him? Why one of us? What is the reason for becoming one of us? For somebody to become one of us, they would have to now join the rank of a group over here. They would now have to join the rank of plurality. Let's put it in that aspect. The rank of plurality. So, this is the conversation between the reptile and the man. And we didn't see it as a spiritual interjection from the biblical stance. We see it was a creature that came into the garden that spoke to the two individuals and tell them, do the don'ts, and you will become like one of us. What is the meaning to become like one of us? Knowing good and evil. Becoming polarized. Understanding polarity. Up and down, right and wrong, light and dark, yin and yang. Becoming like one of us. Creative beings having the ability to procreate. Adam and Eve could make no children at that point in time, probably. No. They couldn't procreate. They did not know ability to be like the high being. Who we say is the reptile, or who we say is God. But this reptile was claiming to be one of us. One of us would include the rank of the said God, who would tell the two first individuals, don't and the do's. Now, as I say again, I'm not a religious skeptic, you know, but we're living in a time and age where we love to read and apply knowledge and information. And we once had a time where we look at everything from a spiritual aspect. How we landed there, I really don't know, but if a man have a book and you read the book and somebody tell you sometime in life a story from that same book, but the story is not the same as you read, won't you correct them? You read the book. Or maybe, as some speculate, the book have its personal interpretation. Let's say I agree. But that's for many other reasons. Let's say I agree that the book may have many different interpretations pertaining to languages. As first we go reference God, the word God, G-O-D. Where does the word God stem from? Did it officially had the word God in our literature? Does the word God in our literature today represents the same creative force in our literature in ancient times? Does it actually mean the same? These are investigative points that we need to reference to. But we apply these things to our daily life through reading our books, through basic studies, going to school, going to church. We may be influenced by a friend or music or a movie or something. But at the end of it, we still need to take some honor in our own self-thought and our own thinking. You know? So, the other part of the story says that the two beings that was placed in the garden, they listened to the reptilian. They didn't listen to God. As it is said, it was the woman who listened to the reptilian. And she find it was pleasing what she did. Because she eyes was open up. How the heck she eyes was open up? Then it was closed. It was closed. If she eyes open up now, that means she eyes was closed. If she start to see things now that she wasn't seeing before, that means somebody was blocking she from seeing things before. Now she eyes open up. She starts to see some things different. Probably. Start to say, yo, must let Adam know this. See what me see. You take the fruit to Adam. Let me just use it at that. Take the fruit to Adam. Introduce Adam to the fruit. Adam probably would have never loved comply, but him still comply anyhow. And he eat the fruit. Now this is not a spiritual thing taking place here. This is two individuals actually partaking in things that can be explained not on a natural basis. See? Nothing spiritual here. Two physical beings having had a conversation with the God. Then they come and had another conversation with somebody who claiming to be another God like the God. Now they end up in a situation. So the man partake and his eyes open too. So that means his eyes was closed too. He starts to think different. What it is he see was different. What it is that is missing within the religious books or doctrines that was different? What was these things that these two beings come to analyze or come to adapt that would have made them status quo like gods? Was it true? Was the serpent lying? Did the serpent lie? Or did the opposite lie? Somebody did. Anyhow, the story said the story said the devil said. So, as the man and the woman eyes open, they see it fit was to cover themselves. Whatever covering themselves mean, they did cover themselves figuratively with fig leaves, bush. Why them cover themselves? We would have to ask how long Adam and Eve was naked. Were they created as babies or a big man and woman? How the story go? How they grew up? How long in their life they was naked? Oh. What would that bring them to the realization that they're not naked no more? Just like that. But they realize that they're naked after they eat this suspicious food. And spoke to this suspicious individual, this reptile who claims to be one of the us. Don't forget that, whatever the us is. There's no spirit thing going on there. We see creatures interacting with human beings, coming into a physical place called the Garden of Eden, having a conversation, and then we're seeing the effects of the conversation, physical effect. We, the God of the story now, come back to the garden one day and was looking for the man. But him can't find the man. So him start call out to the man. Adam, where art thou? Question. Adam, where art thou? As I say again, a lot of people have a lot of interpretation for these texts and chapters in the Bible. I am not a religious scholar. We read with a free mind and we try to understand things with a free mind because there are other information besides biblical information that coincides with these information also, and that carries even more variety of conversation. So we see here now God was looking for Adam. So we would have asked ourselves, is this not the same God who created the heavens and the earth and all that is in them? Is this not the same God who formed Adam from the dust and made everything from nothing? And him make a little garden named Eden, put two people in it. No. The man lost in the garden. Him can't find man. How you can't find the man in the garden? How come Adam is hiding? Adam shouldn't be hiding. Adam can't hide in a little garden. If this is really God, how come him hide from Adam? Sorry about that. How come Adam hide from him if him is really God? My apologies there. So, if that individual in that text right there in your Genesis story is the God of creation, being this large entity of infiniteness, having the ability of omniscience and omnipresence to be here, there, and everywhere. For he knows all things. You can use your other part of your Bibles to reference to that, whether you want to go to Moses' book, whether you want to go to King David's Psalms. We can use so many references to the infiniteness and the omniscience of the Creator. But just look at this passage. Look at this individual. He is now looking for a man in a little garden and can't find the man. The man is hiding in the garden, hiding from God. But they said the man was in fear. So the man said, I am hiding. And the conversation continued. Why art thou hiding, Adam? So bear in mind, these are not spiritual conversations, whoever says so. Well, the book you read didn't say these are spiritual conversations. These are conversations taking place between people who can speak, people who walking in the garden, people who have emotion. As we can see, the emotion will build up through the conversation between God and Adam. And the emotion will come down to something that we call a punishment or the fall of Adam. That's great emotion for a God who created everything. Knowing the basis that man will fall and still condemn him for the fall. Let's be open-minded about it. Many people have many references to this according to their religious belief. But let me just serve through it now as we talk. That the Creator, bear in mind the Creator is infinite, as you say, omniscience, omnipresent, knowing all things. He created all things, as if you could remember how your book of Genesis went. In the beginning, the Word was God, or the Word was with God. I don't have my Bible now, but you would have get a straight reference. But just that little text what I tell you, say, the greatness and infiniteness of the Almighty. So let's bring it back up now to the conversation with God and Adam and Eve. Why art thou hiding? But Adam couldn't take the blame right away, so Adam started blame the woman. And the woman can't take the blame neither, she start blame the snake. Emotions start build. We could see emotions right there. We could see emotions right there. Adam said, no, me. Not me. The woman. The woman made this happen. She said, no, me. This is the first accusation bring up on the first two people. Where they get the emotion from? How that developed to that stage so quick? Where is the timeline missing that gives these people this amount of intelligence? What it is the reptilian gave these people, these two individuals, or the fruit? What it is the fruit did? Did it down the intelligence or did it up the intelligence? Did it do a good for them? Did it do a bad? Remember the reptile said that when they eat the fruit, they go become like one of us. Like him and the other partner known as God. Possibly more. Could have more in the group. A pantheon of them. As we say. The word us. If you underline that from school, you know what it means. It's not a single word. It doesn't represent singularity. It's a plural word. It means more than one. More than one start from two. Doesn't mean two, literally. But it means more than two. As two as a start. So, we get back now to Adam and Eve and the God. At that moment, we see the emotion traveling from creature to creature that they wouldn't take the blame. So the woman started blaming the snake. But there was no part in the book where the snake could have defended himself. The snake never did defend himself. No. The snake stays silent and take the blame. But such a wise creature stays smart. Stay silent. Such a wise, smart creature stay silent and just take the blame. Think about that. This snake is not just a snake. This snake is one of the us. Yeah, and him just take the blame quiet. And him get a punishment too. That from today, you must crawl on your belly and eat dust. So that means before today, the snake or the reptile was never on his belly and was never eating dust. He was some powerful entity, a upright or upward. Probably it would have been metaphor when they say down on your belly and eat dust. Metaphoric. Probably, as you people say, there's many interpretations to your book. I am not a religious scholar. We just do things from thought. Every house have a Bible, maybe a Quran too, or a Bhagavad Gita. You say everybody go read and won't understand. We was basing we understanding on the leaders in the church. We wasn't reading for ourselves. At that time we was that lazy. We never want to read for ourselves. But we come out of the meds. So we see now a snake get a blame, the reptile get the blame now. Must crawl on his belly and eat dust. The man, emotion meet down and he has a judgment. He now shall work hard and by his sweat eat bread. Make a living for himself. See? He shall now make a living for himself. Through a mistake, as it said, in disobedience. The book says a disobedience because God said, don't. And they did. So it's a disobedience. So the book said. To be investigated. See? The woman now, emotion meet down to she has a judgment. That she could be punished through childbearing. No. The reason why I use the word emotion is what governs the actions. Physically. This is not a spiritual thing was taking place. Adam is not a spiritual being in this story, nor Eve, nor the snake, nor God. These 4 individuals were 4 entities there, as we can see. They eat. Adam eat, Eve eat. God speak, God walk. The devil speak. And intellect enough, as I said, to deceive and lie. Man did never know what is a lie yet. Being so smart today, mankind so wise today, back then, he never know what is a lie. Probably the devil tell him the truth. Probably. He don't know what's a lie. But the snake say you're going to become like one of us, knowing good and evil. Something really did happen. Something that pissed off God. Or the God of that story. As to say, the God of that story in Genesis. Something pissed off God. Move the emotions to judgment. And put the 2 beings. I should say the 3. As I think the snake get kicked out too. But put the 2 beings out of the garden. And when he put them out of the garden, he placed a flaming sword. A flaming sword. He placed cherubims with flaming swords. Now, the Bible contains certain words that the song so nice and smooth whilst we read. And if we never take an encyclopedia, a Britannica encyclopedia, or a book to abbreviate and break down these words, we may never know what they mean actually as we read and get the right understanding. Words like seraphim, cherubim, were these words actually the authentic words of the ancient people language? Bear in mind that we are speaking a language today that is very young in its stage. And English language, as we can see, is a language that is entwined from other languages. We won't go through that now, see? But just to specify on how it have ancient language amongst our new language, ancient words amongst our new words could confuse how the place, the vibration to bring over the overstanding to people. That these words is vibrations. So when they place them there, they will bring a certain frequency across. Maybe a frequency of conflict. So today, we're still trying to understand what is the meaning of some of those words. So let me ask ourselves, the word a cherubim. What is a cherubim? You place a cherubim with a flaming sword. Now, before we go to what is a cherubim, or if we should go there, leave it for our next topic maybe. Think about it. The first two beings to get placed in the Garden of Eden get kicked out by God. There wasn't forgiven enough. Remember this. If there was forgiveness as it states, as some people will say, yeah, there was forgiveness because he spared man, he could have killed them all. I think that wouldn't mean forgiveness because he didn't kill them. Because they live a more hardship when they went to survive. Because the thing is, Adam and Eve never knew nothing about outside survival. They was in a garden, a place called a garden, an enclosed garden, as it should be stated. Not just a garden, an enclosed garden. It come like they was living in, where we would I say, an upscale community surrounded by walls. And anything they need, they would have get it inside there, provided by the God of that story. But since they disobey, the God of that story kicked them out. He didn't choose to forgive if that is the God of all the creation, as in Genesis 1. You don't think a better process plan would have come up for man than kick man out? Then if you should get the story what Adam and Eve went through after they get kicked out of the garden, you would have overstand. God is the greatest magician, so we say. There's nothing God can do. But anyhow, Adam and Eve was kicked out and he placed by the gates cherubims with sword. That means Adam and Eve is not to come back Eve. Ram. Why? Why cherubims with sword? You know what a sword man does do? A sword man will cut you in two. So them cherubims was no joke. They see Adam and Eve as a threat to the garden now. So they place beings there with weapons. Weapons is a threat. Weapons protect you from a threat, and weapons grant threat likewise. So these are not spirit beings that was guarding this place called Garden of Eden. These were real beings with real weapons. You can take a reading in your book and give it a thought. What is the threat of Adam and Eve? Why were they seen in such a threat that God would have to place such a heavy security? Adam don't know warfare. Eve don't know warfare. They have no weapons. What is the purpose of the threat? That they get kicked out. Eve get kicked out through a different gate from Adam. It took them 40 years before they could have see each other again. Where is the timeline of the information? You can't find it. There are many books referring to Adam and Eve, or who was Adam and Eve, or who was Adapa and TT, or as they may reference to them in different time span. See? So let me just look at the correlations of this story. As we say, who is our God? Who is God? Because we so have a desire to know who is our father, our mother, parents. Remember, so we call God Father, you know. And you can't be a child of the Most High, or you can't be a child of your father and don't know your father. You would have to be some bastard. Don't want to know your father, who he is. So these are written stories about your father. Won't you like go read about your father and see if that is really your father or not? If he is some bastard father who just infiltrate your timeline. It's our free will to do that though. As a human on a human level. So if we get back, let me get back to the info. Though? So Adam and Eve get kicked out. And after them get kicked out, they would have to fend for themselves. Remember, so before them get kicked out, there was an emotional process. Let me ask yourself this. Does God have emotion? Can God be pissed off? Can God know good and evil? No, the book says that he is God of good and evil. In certain biblical references, we will find these same statements. Yeah, he create all things, so that means he create good and evil. Surely, right? But let me ask yourself, at what point that he will be willing to use evil against the two for mankind and all? At what point? Is it necessary to use evil, or does God use evil against mankind? We would have to ask anyhow, because the judgment against Adam and Eve, them wouldn't see it as a good thing, you know. As for the first two beings who now have to go out there and struggle and find a life, Eve and she own, Adam and you own. You think about it growing up in your parents' house and get kicked out at the age of 34. You don't know no way and nobody and no kind of life. Maybe 35, maybe younger than that still, but not prepared for society. Ask yourself where that would make you be. So just think about Adam and Eve when they get kicked out. Never prepare for no kind of life. And apart from that, they can't return, you know. Tough. Sword man by the gate. Go with your hand, your foot, or wherever. Sword man is not to give forgiveness. He's not there. He's not a spirit being to grant forgiveness. You need to remove maybe some part of your body if you violate and come inside. Try coming, though. So let me understand these stories precisely and see and understand who are the interactors. Who are the characters that they call God, the devil, and these cherubims and angels? Who are these characters that we can see in the aspect? It's not spiritual beings. We can plainly see that, you know. The physical aspects of these beings. So, now there are other books we can relate to concerning the same stories, you know. Many things we can relate to provide and suffice us with answers to our questions in relation to our Bible God, or God in our Bible. See? So, let me look at other relations in the Bible, other aspects of our God, because I don't want to say creator yet, our aspects of the biblical God. So we go start with the narrative of Abraham, or we can start with the narrative of Noah. Him is a good man to start with. Noah. Yeah. Because Noah come like a Moses, a savior to the world and man. Him is one the Bible tell you has a great relationship with God. So at one point again we see emotion acting as judgment. And we'll ask the question, can God be moved with emotions? Emotion and man and judgment. What is the judgment in this timeline? In this timeline topic, the judgment was a flood. For the book say, in those days, mankind became wicked. And there were beings or angels of God as the term it. Angels of God saw that the daughters of man in those days was beautiful and come and took them for wives. Now, it kind of twists the way they put things sometimes. One theology will tell you that the angels of God are spirit beings. But they may even defend that these spirit beings could take on physical form. So let me put that up there so we can underline. Say alright. Let me say a spiritual being in that sense, where they call a spirit being could take a physical form. So we could align that to that timeline when these beings take physical form and come down and took wives. They say 200 of them. Now this is a story we could also find in the book of Enoch. Maybe you can find more emphasis in the book of Enoch 1. You can find more emphasis in the book of Enki 2. You can find more emphasis about it in the book of Atrahasis. See? So there are many documents about these stories, these information. And you could also find it in the book of Enshi, who was known as Enoch. Enshi, right? So they have the tablet of Enshi besides the book of Enoch. There's a tablet of Enshi, which is the Sumerian name of Enoch. Enoch is where that says a Hebrew name. So, in those days, in the time of Enoch, these spirit beings, let me put it that way for you to understand the thought. See? Those spirit beings took flesh and come down and had physical affair with earth women, because earth women had that beauty, that charm. So they give up their state in the heavenly paradise where there is for this charm of the woman. What would I make them do that? No explanation to that story there. What would I make a being who created in the light a light to come out of that state? A light. They say sin. Next topic for that. But anyhow, these beings come down and took wives. The Bible said they become wives. There was wives. And from the collaboration of these people, sex integration or gene, comes a new species. A new group emerge named the Nephilim. And as it is, they say in those days and the timeline of the Nephilims, wickedness was on the earth. So God was moved by the evil on the earth. Okay? Emotion. God was moved by the wickedness on the earth. Emotion come into play again. So God looked down on the wickedness, as they say, that was done through the mixing of gene, and intended to erase it through emotion. Yeah? So what him do? Let us send a flood. Yeah. Emotion. Let us send a flood. But we will save one man and his family. Because just that one man alone righteous. Think about it. He and his own family alone righteous. Nobody else righteous. So, emotion again lead to a decision to choose one family to save and about. These are emotions. Well, if they're an emotion, I don't know. Probably we need somebody of expertise to come in and explain for us our human interactions. Yeah, our attributes. But to me, these are emotions. Yeah. When you really think about it, if 8 people alone get saved, how much million die? And the million that die would just be like what? Collateral damage. As they put it in the book, wicked people. So, right, let me underline it. Sinners. Sinners die. 8 righteous people saved. So let me look at it now. I act like that. How you would have put it? A great God who created everything. He sees and knows everything. Though he would have seen through even the fabric of the mistakes that man would have made. Even though some interpreters claim, say that a certain privilege was given to these beings to flex on their own. So, yeah, they had a certain amount, let me say 120% agreeable and 120% disagreeable. So they had a choice to go any direction you choose, like man, right? As they say, God is our Father. But we have a certain amount of freedom. We give me own freedom as a man. That's it, a big choice. God now tell him choose this and choose that. You get your free will. Some people agree with that, some people don't. Because if you really are your free will, what is the purpose of the commandments? What is the purpose of the religious laws? That is not free will. So I don't really think we have free will after all either. We still have rules. Rules, whether government rules, whether social rules, or religious rules. We still have rules. See? So we see emotion coming in there to put judgment, to eliminate who they say sinners and save a righteous man. So we would ask ourselves again, does this sound like the God in that story? Does the God in that story sound like the one in the beginning and Genesis, who created everything, who knew everything, omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, infinite, ever forgiving, mercy for 1,000 generations. Hey, Adam never get that, you know. Remember, Adam never get no mercy for 1,000 generations. Ask yourself. Adam lived 900 and some years. He never get no mercy for no 1,000 generation. And when they tell in Psalm David that God is merciful for thousands and generation, metaphorically you would have to understand, because Adam never get that. Adam first mistake in the Bible, as they tell you, him get kicked to heaven out of the garden. Him never get a second chance. So me I ask myself, how come a man who make him first mistake get kicked out by such a loving God, merciful God, a forgiving God? Yeah. Question asked from thought. See? So we don't want to ridicule people religious belief. We're not attacking anybody religious belief in any way. We're just reasoning by thought and collectiveness. And we're looking at the information that is presented to us maybe like more than 2,000 years now. In a book called the Bible. Now that today we cannot just only read, but today we have more books that will help us understand what we read by giving the meaning of the words we read. For instance, 1, by helping us to decode the locations of the places we read about. 2, and the individuals that we read about. Very important to when you read how we can detail these aspects. So, just before I go forward, go up, let me just say this, right? Just before the Adam creation, there was no man, right? And this group of us, back to them guys again, this group of us say, let us make man in our image and our likeness. So, you tell me, I grew up in a semi-Christian home. Go to church on Sunday with granny, you're happy. You can't deny yourself that. And when them would I tell you, say, if you intend to ask a question, granny would I say, only God know the answer for that, man. But that was the state of mind to explain things back then. Only God knows. So check the level today. Even the youngest child would ask the highest question. And you know what? The parents don't have an answer. Because back then, when he did ask a question or she did ask a question, them never get the answer. Let us make man in our image and our own likeness. We know school tutoring, we know spellings, we know spell, we know the spells they cast on us. That's where it starts, from spelling in school. They cast spells upon your people by using words to mistranslate passages, to hide codes and information. Us, our. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. 3 times it ring out. 3 times plurality present itself. Let us make man in our image and our likeness. As I say again, I'm not a theologian. So I do not have a theological explanation for these scriptural terms. Thought. But you read for yourself and you ask yourself the questions. Is that individual right in your Genesis story before we get back to Noah? Right in your Genesis story, is that individual the God of creation? Because he is the same individual with Noah. Don't? Yeah. That is the same individual that spared 8 people and probably wipe out millions or thousands. The millions or thousands never get spared. Ask yourself, couldn't there be a other better contingency plan to work out with man Anyhow, I'm just asking the question. They say God, the Bible say, they say, the book say, God is not like man. So I am a man, so how I may think, they will say God would not think. What he see, I do not see. So I ask these questions in open with thought. And remember, I said the topic is, who is God, or who is our Father? As we delighted to know, every man would like to know, so who are the Father, who the Father is. Me, yeah. If I have a Father in the sky, I would really like to know who my Father in the sky is. And then, more important, my Father in the sky come out of the sky and walk in a garden down here and talk with people and punish human beings and do a set of. Yeah, man, I would have liked to know about my Father. So this is the purpose of my conversation. No. So who was the us? I am asking, who was the our? Let us make man. At least one person spoke, we could understand. One individual spoke, but that one individual did not speak to themselves. They spoke to an audience. The audience would have been consisted of individuals that would have been underlined as us. Our own image, our own likeness. What is image? These is the words that I say that we will have to go back to the encyclopedias and not base our understanding from the folly of the man on the pulpit or the guy who goes around with a book saying he's ordained through spirituality to give you some sort of explanation. You will have to read and understand for yourself. Remember, we went to school and learned to spell. Spelling. Spells. See? So you will have to know. Sit down as your own scholar. Sit down as your own thought. Sit down as your own scribe. And ascribe before you subscribe the way you read. Let us make man. A company, a group, an association, an organization, more than one. And then they went on to say, let us make them looking like us. Yeah, not spirit, no. Not spirit beings, no. Hand and foot and mouth and nose and cheeks and eye. And most important, emotions. Emotions that give us moods, passion, goodness, or what we call goodness, or what we call evil, or what we could say is polarity. Emotions. These qualities being added to the man. You can feel it within yourself that we all governed by these qualities. And if the God of that book or those passages didn't have a certain emotion, we wouldn't have had that emotion today. Because we were created or made or engineered, whatever word you want to use, or orchestrated after the us, that us, those us. Whether we go through changes in the historical timeline as a physical being, whether we may get taller in size, whether we may get less in size, I believe it still remains 75% in a physical sense as the day Adam was created or presented. Let me put it that way. Probably if Adam was here with me now, we might just have a semblance in terms of physical features. So, But Adam being we forefather and we having he physical features is only of sense that he would have his forefather, which is the God who created him, or the us that created him, as we could say and see on the line in the text, that he would have the same semblance of them as a father with a son or a child in the image of the parent. No spirit, physical being. See? And there we see another physical being was formed to give physical assistance to this first physical being. And everything physical was placed around this physical being in this place called the Garden of Eden. So this physical being could enjoy everything on that level. We didn't see no relation and no spirituality taking place there in terms of spiritism. We see an individual called God was walking, or who walked, who talked, who shared emotion, who give punishment and judgment. As who they say give life and take life. I only asking the question. So we come up to Noah. And we see Noah was a favorable man of God. As the text states. He was a favorable man of this God of the Bible. And this is the God that saved him. Wasn't there any other favorable people on the planet? How much people was on the planet at that point of time? I really don't know if it was that bad that just 8 people alone could have been so favorable. But information is a vast thing. So we're not narrowing it down just to Christianity or a biblical reference, right? We in the Bible, but yet we into the books. Because in that Bible mention, even in Revelation, that there are other books, see, that even couldn't be elaborated on. Just as the Quran states about other books. So every civilization, we will have a piece of literature to keep man balanced. And I don't think Bible was the only literature that guides civilization from Adam time to this time. Let me say from Moses, because Moses didn't have a Bible. Some hundreds of years had it was to pass, even until Jesus died before they write this book. So what was the books they was using before? What was the information that was presented to society? What was the education? Because today we like to argue and base our information and history on what we call the Bible. But we have to remember that for that Bible to be compiled and placed to society, all the information would have to be accessed. So I mean right up to the last book, everybody who live and die would have had to die after a long while before the information to be coming to compile to become a book. So let me say before Paul, if you want to put it so, or before John, which is the John on the island of Patmos in the book of Revelation, before John, what was the authentic literature, or what was the different literatures for different civilizations? Because the world never share one literature doctrine through no timeline. Even today in such a civilized world, we're not seeing such a coincidence where the world sharing one book as to be a basic book of information. So we don't want to just struggle with the thoughts staying within the paradigm of one book, because we could understand that the information is limited But the point I want to draw out of the book is that there are other civilizations who boast about time of great flood and the saving of people. And these stories had nothing to do with Noah and an ark, even though they had it to do with a boat because it was a watery destruction. So these stories share similar relation to the people who get saved in India by Manu. Was Manu and Noah the same person? So the people who get saved over in the Mesoamerican world with two brothers and two sisters in these people's stories. And the reason why I'm using these correlations is so we to understand that the term our God didn't just come from a biblical aspect. We had civilizations that had different meaning to this word or term that we using today, to put in a holistic sense to be the creator of all things. So we had to understand how those conversations and story were recorded and told, how there was witnessed and analyzed in past time. And we even have some of them in we own book that we recommend called Your Bible or We Bible. Coincided with the paradigm. So where we was at Noah. And Noah was the great savior and man. Right? Yeah. And after Noah come off the ark, there was division amongst the family. Because God had it was to split the land mass to share amongst the bloodline. It was Noah who do the splitting at the land mass. It was God who intervened, as it tells us. After the flood and the water receded, Noah formed or formulated what they would have called a ritual or a sacrifice. As they say, barbecue an animal, maybe a cow, maybe a sheep, maybe a goat. But he make an altar, as what we would call a barbecue pit today, and put an animal on it and roast the flesh as a means of giving thanks. This is the interpretation that meets us. He was giving thanks by roasting a meat. Now where the heck roasting meat on stones could do with the creator of all things? Does he require the sacrifice of bulls or the flesh of animals? I don't know. But this was Noah, a wise guy who he and God is great friend. Now come out from a conflict where God saved him away. He ain't nobody else, everybody else dead to prove that God really love him. Everybody else get washed away. He and his family as 7 was righteous. I guess saved. So he formulated an altar to make a sacrifice to God. Right? And they tell you in the text that his sacrifice, the scent, you know barbecue the smell, yeah, nice. When flesh roasted, the scent please God. Emotion again. Now, it may not come across good as it seems, but think about it. Burnt flesh, barbecue flesh roasting, and really, God is that he's smelling barbecue flesh. He's supposed to be in heaven, though. But then again, we see him was in Garden of Eden a little earlier on, walking and talking with Adam. So he was down here too, at some point. But now we see him here now with Noah interceding, having a likeness of flesh, requiring flesh. Now you ask yourself, Does God infinite, omnipotent, omnipresent requires flesh? Could man tell when he hungry if he could just ever get hungry, or she does ever could? I can't say he or she either, because come on, how we get term this thing? Could man satisfy God with food, with burnt flesh? So when we read these passages and we look at these terms, they go say, yeah, you wouldn't understand it because you're not spiritual. You wouldn't understand it because it's metaphoric. You wouldn't understand it because it's not in this language. Yeah, we understand we're coming along, we're way down the timeline with these information. We've been coming a long way down the timeline with these information. So this is the reason for me picking up this topic and trying to hold my forth live about it. Now, I want on the other occasion, I must have my little passages and texts so I could relate to it all. So all you have a little guide to go to this book or that book, because the Bible is not the only book that we could talk about based on information, based on mathematics, based on science, based on theology and astrology. Some people may say these things ain't friggin' important, bro. What you need to know them things for? Hey, you just show me when are important and we may take down all the fingers. Everything is important because the all is everything and the everything is in the all. So everything within the all is important for man to acknowledge and know. As much as we may not acquire all the knowledge in this life, it's impossible. But it is possible to strive to acquire thought. It may be the freest thing we have. We may not have freedom. We have free thought. I don't know about the freedom. I know we have free thought because that is something you and all can't stop yourself from thinking. So we have free thought. I like, whoa. But we do have freedom. So we see there and then with Adam, as they share these correlation stories with people on the other side of the world who speak the stories about saviors who came, has to be subscribed as God too, and save man from a flood just like Noah. Right? And these people's stories is not from the biblical text. Bear in mind that these people's story is from their civilization, not the Hebrewic civilization. So if the Hebrewic text stand to be precise and we say a flood really did take place earthwide, we could agree that other civilizations around the world truly was affected, while some drowned, maybe some survived. And who the heck saved them to make them survive? So this was the story that was saved by a God too. So who was this God that saved them? That was mentioned in this Bible book, but mentioned in their holy books. Their holy books too. Their books was written before our holy book. And bear in mind that the conversation we're talking about is who is our God. Is the 23rd of July? Is Rastafari Christmas? Everybody Irie? Probably. Some people don't give a, you know what I mean? But we here willing our meds and trying to guide ourselves upward in this time here. Yeah, this Aquarian age, we're trying to guide ourselves upward. We ain't here to be perfect, man. We ain't come here to be man of right or men of wrong, as they say, but we desire a balance in the life. That we understand right and we understand wrong. And we could be wholly two realms because we in that paradigm where we in a dualistic world. See? So we could go from, and I don't just want to be using religious texts to intrude on my point, but I still will have to. But the most important of examples is the one we live on a daily basis. Is the best of examples to prove to us in this conversation, right? But the reason why we kind of go into these books is because people have this kind of way, or we do have this kind of way, that when we should reason, this is the direction we want to go. So we didn't see ourselves to be considered as one of the highest or greatest book of reference. Nah, we that dumb that we had to go in a book and say, hey, God write it. And if we check the timeline, that if a God did write it, why it have contradictions? Because we can't say that it ain't contradict. Or you say, nah, he don't understand that why he say it contradictions, because he don't understand. Or basically they put some twist in it so that we may not understand from their level. From their level, they put the symbologies and the metaphors, so we may not able to go there. It may have a time to come we go able to go there as time enlightens. Right? So as I say, I don't just want to jump from text to text, but I will have to. Okay? I'm gonna have to. So if we had to use Abraham, which is second great patriarch of your Bible. Yeah, he was the second great patriarch, and we're going to hear a lot of people today boasting about being Hebrews, being Jews, being Muslims, defining themselves under the bloodline of Abraham. So they're showing pride that if it wasn't for Father Abraham, we would have never able to have such a thriving religious system called Orthodoxy, Jewish faith, Christianity, and Islam. The four biggest denomination churches on the earth all claim to come from one individual. So they call him the patriarch, Father Abraham. But let me just look at Father Abraham for a moment as we step out of Noah. Right? And we want to kind of take the reasoning timeline. Do I the book to go in the timeline? Next time I promise to have these books and information applicable. See? So, Father Abraham was this individual who was, again, just like Noah, loved by God, chosen by this God of the Bible. And the introduction with Abraham come when as some interpreters put it, it wasn't God come to Abraham, they state that 3 angels, but to how we the people, the public, go get the interpretation depends on how it is translated. So some Bibles, because there are different translation or retranslation of Bibles, some Bibles may state in the header of the topic, God visits Abraham. Down inside of the detail of the text, right? Interpreters may tell you it was not God who visited Abraham, it was angels, right? But if we go into the aspect of the reading, we could see one of the person who was out of the tree was of high authority, and apart from them stating in the header that God visited Abraham, down inside of the text also stated that after the conversation with the 3 of them, and they told Abraham that his wife could have a child next year around this time, right? 2 rise up and went to the direction of the west. I believe it's the west. Or you could correct me if I'm wrong, but they went in the direction of Sodom and Gomorrah, as it is stated, and the other cities that was to be destroyed. And 1 person remained with Abraham. Who was that 1 person? Down in the reading below the header state, just as to coincide with the header, God remained with Abraham. Not God the Spirit, God in the flesh, the one who come by Abraham and eat and drink. Because when he come, when the 3 of them come, Abraham recognizes the 3 man of God. Now we saying his angels, book saying his angels in the header, not the header, underneath the header, right? Angels come interact with Abraham. But these beings eat food because Abraham tell his wife, go and prepare. Prepare the food that these guys like. How you know them guys like that kind of food? But they didn't go to take the food according to the topic, or they said they was busy to pass on some information. But anyhow, he was that persistent, right? He was that persistent, according to the tradition, that when people like these genuine strangers pass, you facilitate them with a hand wash, a hand foot, and a full belly. Then all they could go on all their way. But if it wasn't so, they had something very important to tell Abraham. So if they didn't come to check Abraham, or they was just going on their way, why tell Abraham all that important story about your wife to make a child next year around this time? But then at the point again that anyhow, two went and God remained. God remained with Abraham. God remained with Abraham. Now we didn't say that. The book said God remained with Abraham. We didn't say that, right? They say God remained with Abraham, and God and Abraham started to have this conversation, and God started to tell Abraham, well, Abraham, you know he's my faithful servant, and my intention is to go down and put some judgment to Sodom and Gomorrah and these cities down there we've been acting in this sinful state. You know what I'm saying? Because it's about time. Emotions presenting judgment again. Now this is emotion before judgment, and a constant, right? We're not seeing mercy, we're not seeing forgiveness in these stories. All we're seeing is destruction, straight out. Emotion acting on that aspect from the God in those stories. See? So no, Abraham now was even moved with emotion. Where Abraham get emotion from? Remember, we were created in the image and likeness of the emotionalists, the gods. Yeah, them with emotion, them give you that spark of emotion. So this is Abraham with he emotion now. He start to vibrate with he frequency of emotion. So Father, if it have 50, allow me to speak. If it have 50 righteous people only, would you destroy the city? Because are they just 50? And I think they bargain like that until they meet 10, right? So we could move with the story. They bargain with that topic. These two people face to face bargain, right? Until they meet 10. So God, they say God told Abraham, well, if it really had 10 people, Abraham, I'll spare the city. Trust me. But all that time, Abraham had the nephew living down there in the family. And it's so common happen that Abraham win the lot. Abraham, yeah, he kind of win the conversation. He kind of win the emotion of God. Because the two went down to save not Sodom and Gomorrah, but Abraham, nephew Lot, and Lot family. So the two angels went down, not two spirits, two angels went down to Sodom. This is not spirit beings, this is physical being. Because when the people in Sodom see them come and say, wow, God, these guys, we never see these guys before. What these guys going in by Lot? And the book tell you that they surround Lot door. And they started to call out for the men who now going in there. And say, Lot, well, offer up them guys. Them guys looking fresh. You never see them guys. Yeah? And Lot was like, crazy? I have my daughters here. Never been touched by man. These guys? Nah. Untouchable. I'll give all of my daughters. They say, nah, Lot, you need them guys. Some guys, yeah, some about them guys. Some guys fresh. And what take place there? Check your text. Just like Jesus. Yeah. The Jesus story. When they tried to hold him in the crowd, some thing take place and he just go through the crowd. Yeah, so the two angels and Lot family have to do their thing and go through the crowd and leave them still looking for Lot and Lot family and whoever they're looking for and go their way. Anyhow, the point I want to draw is check these stories. Are these stories myth? The real, if the real, what we see is real things happening here. Real bombs drop, mashed up Sodom and Gomorrah, no spirit ball. Real firebomb. Today, archaeologists could go and remove the earth in certain places down there and show you. They could find. So this is where we get able to connect with paradigm at conversation. Where we could use archaeology or science, where many of we don't believe in. Disagree about the science. Because we ain't see nothing scientific to we understanding in a biblical sense. But this is where science meet your thought. Anything that did exist still have evidence of existence. This is the all. You're not escaping how the all. So as we could understand today, as the earth advanced, man and his advancement, advanced groups called archaeologists and paleontologists and all these type of educational guys. These guys go out in the field with the equipments to revolutionize history or information. Let me don't be scared. Yeah. Let me just embrace it, just like when the pastor talk up on the pulpit and we do embrace. Yeah, let me don't be scared. Science ain't nothing new at all. Because without science, the foundation of the world would not be. So we created would have to be the first scientists. Anyhow, when we take a check on with stories and we look into who is these gods, we have to ask question, who is the God of the Bible? As it says, as Lot and the family was making escape out the city, Lot actually went into a type a verbal challenge, just like his uncle Abraham did with God. Lot did that with the angels by it. When they tell Lot, well, you flee to that city. Lot say, but suppose pre-adventure I go to that city and I ain't safe, we go happen. And they tell Lot, we go hold back the destruction until we get to a further place. So Lot could have able to bargain. Imagine that. Lot could have able to bargain with the angels for his life. Because his life did matter more than the rest. The rest was sinners, yeah. Collateral damage, sinners. Just like Adam and Eve. Collateral damage, sinners. Just like the people in the flood with Noah. No, up to Lot, collateral damage. So this whole place had to get bombed. Bear in mind, it's not just sinners living here, man, woman, and children. You have to ask if the babies, the young days sinners. We have a lot of babies in these cities, a lot of little children in these cities, a lot of animals in these cities. How we could how we really rationalizing that? Man thoughts is not like God, wouldn't? Yeah, I know you're gonna tell me that. Could never be. Man thoughts could never be like that God own. No. Man thoughts could never be so at all. Probably if man had the equipment, he might elevate the thoughts to be that dangerous. Yeah. But anyhow, that God was merciful enough, or put mercy on the offering, as he say he had enough. Yeah, they will say God had enough. with Sodom and Gomorrah. Them people ain't changing at all. So he do have a way to change them beside bombing them. And bear in mind, he infinite, he omnipotent, he omnipresent. He give mercy and forgiveness for 1,000 generations. So if them people did outpass the 1,000 limit, the mercy at the 1,000 years limit. Okay. Well, alright. Well, if you have a limit on mercy, alright. You have a limit on mercy. I don't know. Or if the God have a limit on mercy, I don't know. Just metaphorically speaking, they say he gave mercy for 1,000 generations. Right? How long Sodom and Gomorrah was sinful, or as they say sinful, these cities, I do not know. Bombs was dropped on them. It had children, babies, old folks, just like any society today. Animals, just like any society today. Let me think about it. If some nation who believe in some God, or if there's a God, and let me say God say he go strike man today, because man ain't changing. He give you more than 1,000 generations to change, and we didn't. And he tend to hit we up with some lightning balls, and freak we up. I mean that not a genuine move. In no aspect we could see it as whether reward or judgment, but think about that term. How we gonna rationalize that in the emotional sense? Don't forget who all you tell we God is, and we not misjudging who all you didn't tell we he is either. And from the moment you start to put emotion, and we start to see emotion playing here, we know you ain't talking about spirit. We know you're talking about a physical person. With positive sure that you're talking about physical being, as we could see in these texts. It's physical references all the way up. All the way up. And I don't just want to just use Bible references without able to send in all little chapters and the next thing. But I know for every person who do read, understand where the text is coming from, so I'm trying to be merely precise or most precise, so that when you go and find it, you're on the same line like me. We're on the same course. So we could go to Moses. And we see on the timeline that Moses is a great patriarch, just as Abraham, just as Adam, just as Noah. Great patriarchs on the timeline. Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses. Great patriarchs on the timeline. Yeah? And we see here with Moses, according to these stories. So we wouldn't give Moses the whole story here. But we see where Moses was chosen by a God in this story again. A God take Moses and raise Moses to be a prince in a next man land as a state, in a next man country. Raise him as a great leader to take the people and set them free and carry them out there. And to implement or implant the Redeemer as to be the only God. So let me look at that. In the 10 Commandments state that thou shalt worship no other God but me. And this God, in this Moses story, he implement a law handed down to Moses that he alone must be worshipped. No, my opinion is, if it didn't have no other gods, if there was no other threat to that individual throne or empire or kingdom or whatever status quo, why implement a law. A law is a decree binding. And you know what it binding to? Reward and punishment. Reward and punishment is frequencies of emotion. Again. So the laws was binding with frequencies as if emotions. If there was no threat, my opinion, if there was no threat to Moses God, why Moses God had was to state that to worship no other God? If they didn't have no other God, then why make that literal statement? Why go the distance to inscribe it? After all, I might have just say Moses, I just make a joke about that one, but it wasn't so. It was factual that it had was to be inscribed. That Moses, this is to reach the people. As from this time, they is to worship nobody else but me. Why? If it don't have nobody else superior like God to be a threat, as we say again with Adam, if Adam and Eve was not threat, why put swordsmen by the gate? They ain't no threat. That means the first human beings were kicked out. They didn't know how to use a stick or a stone. So why put swordsmen by the gate? So it's just like Moses. Make laws. What's the purpose of the laws? To bind the people to a contract. And if they break the contract, they now become what? Sinners. If you break the contract, you are a sinner. The contract is the law. The law was handed down by that God to Moses to bind the people by law. Emotion is the frequency in the contract that measures out punishment and reward. Righteous is the reward for the good, as what they call it, and sinners, the name for those who take the bad road. So they ascribe and before they subscribed it. So we enter the Moses phase, where Moses was given these laws by a God. A God called Moses up into the mountains and spoke to him. I don't know if spirit will speak. There's so much interpretation on these things again, as I say. I am not a religious theologian. You know what I'm saying? But the book tells us that Moses spoke to God face to face as a man would with a friend. Right? And they metaphorically tell us when Moses went before a flaming tree that wasn't really burning at all, no ashes and falling, but the tree burning. Metaphor. What could I mean by that? That is the spirit of God at work. Suppose it's technology at work. Suppose there's some piece of technology that they don't want to explain to me. I didn't have technology back then. Okay. Alright, the spirit of God at work. Well, you take that. Because we didn't see no spirit there when we read the book. All we are seeing is just the physical aspects of everything. Moses was told by the said God, Moses, no man could see my face and live. Exceptionally, I'll show you this, Moses. I'll ascribe to you with this. Tomorrow when I pass, this is the condition I want you to do. Because I see you as my faithful again. You remember these faithful and unfaithful people keep playing off in this paradigm and this emotional timeline. So you will clear the mountain. Don't let nobody come up on this mountain, Moses. This mountain is my holy place where I reside, where I just land down. You make sure that you secure this mountain and don't let the animals graze and come up here at all. Don't let the inquisitive people pass the barricade. Else it could be to their own mayhem. They could die. So just imagine, God telling Moses, you go tell the people that whenever I come in to visit you, it have a certain barricade that they mustn't pass, a certain breach, physical breach that they mustn't breach. Anything breach that dead. I don't know what the heck was killing them, what was causing them to dead. What was killing them if they cross the breach? If they come into that close to a contact, what we gonna say? That a physical being can come close to a spiritual presence, as it could be affected. Maybe, you know, whatever was happening, was happening. But God tell Moses, tomorrow when I pass, make sure the mountain clear. And I go pass announcing my name. And I go stretch forth my hand after you place yourself in the cleft of the rock where they go call a cave. And when I pass, I go stretch forth my hand and I go block your eyes. Moses. So you wouldn't see me basically. I go stretch forth my hands and block your eyes and you wouldn't see me basically. But when I pass and remove my hands, you will see me wear my back pads. Now, how we go interject these texts, these passages, these readings, these quotings, these sayings? How we go really interject? Because no man can see God and live. They say God is a spirit. God in heaven. We have so much interpretations and quotings for. This is why we on this topic. Because you know why? We want to know who we father, our mother, our parents is, who bring me up. You ain't interested? I'm interested. I want to. I mean, want nobody tell me. Meet me on the road and tell me. I want to find out for myself because I'm my own love. If I'm a biological or genealogical or father, whatever, I must feel that polarity. I must feel that pull. I get drawn to my father or my mother or my blood line or my DNA source. See? So we see in that text in Exodus, where God present himself as a seen and unseen all at the same time. As a physical being. Co-status. He walk, he talk, he stretch his hand. Moses see him by his back parts, not the spirit parts. He back like back parts. Yeah, back parts. Now I will still ask myself if it's possible. How the heck a man could walk past a man? Or how something could walk past a man, stretch out a hand, block the man eye and pass. And the man didn't see when it pass. See the face, well the man see the body, you will see the body, but you didn't see the face. Where that hand come from to block your eye? Or that person sneak up on you and block your eye or something? It might sound kind of stupid. Yeah, some people say, yeah, that crap right. But question. Because that is where in the text. That is where we reading. He passed by and he tell Moses, you wouldn't be able to see my face. I will be stretching forth my hands and blocking your eyes. So when I pass and remove my hands, you could only see me by my back part. Ain't no spirit thing taking place there. You never tell Moses he will send his spirit to blind him. Nah. As in the book of the Apostle Paul, when he said the spirit come down, a different term. They didn't put no spirit talk here. So he put his hands. Here we see physical attributes with physical manifestation. So, whether you want to subscribe that God is a shapeshifter, and he is shapeshift from spirituality to physicalness, embodiment, okay, cool. But in that text, in these texts, we could clearly see, and I don't want to go too much out of any other book tonight, because I don't have the books. So when I could reference them properly, we go tag along with that. So tonight we could just have a nice little topic and flow on the little biblical references. Are we father or we genealogical creator or engineer, manufacturer? How we want to put it. And when we look into these stories, and we now breaking down some more few things, because Moses is a guy who do real thing for God. Yeah, Moses do real thing for God. Plenty things we could talk about from just that book alone. That Moses do for God, you got doubt. Moses bloody hand for God. Moses killed thousands of people, could be millions. Moses could have do more than what Hitler do in the new century at time. Probably we never checked out, because you know why? The doctrine states that God ordered a killing. The doctrine states that those who were killed were sinners. That's what the doctrine states. The victims is sinners. So there's a right applied that they should be killed, because they're sinners. So God gave rights to kill sinners. Thou shalt not kill, Moses. Thou shalt not kill. Don't forget the law. But when he ready, he give rights to kill. Not one, not two, no, a few. A whole nation. Go over there? Yeah. Because, as we could see, this God had a land promise to fulfill. Since the deal that make with Abraham for being so faithful, that he promised Abraham some land. And here's something again we gotta ask ourselves. Right? God promising a man a piece of land on earth. This whole earth and universe what God built. And that man had to go through centuries of things. He had to dead, and the part of the generation had to dead out. Before this man got this land. Just think about it. If your father tell you he going to give you piece of land, and that land me down to your great grandchild, you ain't see that land. It's only your great grandchild get to see that land, because he put it in will for you not to see it. Because he ain't living that time. He ain't living that length of time too. He ain't had that lifespan time. You think about it. What was the benefit for you? There was no benefit there for you. There was just a promise of land. But the benefit is to the great grand. That is what the benefit was about. So Abraham didn't get no benefit out of no land. Abraham got a promise about land. Generations had to pass before they see the benefit. And the benefit didn't come through no easy taking. No, if you had to ask if the benefit come through righteousness or however you want to put it, the benefit come through by a sword. By God commanding Moses, Aaron, and Joshua to form an army against the surrounding tribes of people, which is the 7 sons of Canaan: the Jebusites, the Hittites, the Archavites, you know them, Philistines, all these people who they call the indigenous people of the land. Them was indigenous people that them land. Them was living on that land. Moses run out of Egypt End up in the wilderness by God command. Now God tell he go fulfill the promise that he promised Abraham. See Moses, you see all that land over there. That is the land I promised Abraham hundreds of years ago. And he will get through you now. But you know we had to get, we had to go over there and wipe out all them people. Not convert them, you know. Not conversion. Nah, not mercy, no forgiveness. Nah. None of that stuff. Sharpen all your swords, all your bayonets, all your slings, and all your spears and arrows. And we going over there and fight one of the bloodiest war to take the people land away. This is the promised land that promised to Abraham. We didn't interject the writing. It's already written. That is the books we read and argue over every day. So I ask any question, who is this God in these texts? Who's been moved with so much emotion from time to time, using mankind in conflicts, saving mankind in conflicts, destroying mankind in conflicts, and make mankind in conflicts. Who's this God? And the texts that they're talking about. Is this God the omnipotent creator? Is this God the omnipresent creator? Is this God the infinite creator? Is he the all that acting this way in these texts? We could read passages in the Bible, right? Where Moses was sent on mission by God. And Moses was told. And bear in mind, next time you see I come back to our life, I'm making sure I quote text like some of them pastors. So they could get all the references right. I mean, no pastor, but just for all to get the references right. Right? It had texts. Especially in Numbers, I believe. Huh? Because Numbers have a lot of war treaty in it. So it had texts telling you God, Yahweh, prohibited violence against other surrounding tribes because he proclaimed them to be sinners. And he tell Moses to command an army and go over there and wipe out those sinners. But here, don't just wipe them out, Moses. See the booty, bring it across. You see the virgin woman, bring them across. You see the sheep and the goat, bring them across. Slaughter everything else, man, woman, and children. Emotion move to judgment. And we gotta ask ourselves, is this the all and infinite God acting this way? Commanding that men, women, and children to be slaughtered. Some of we go say, yeah, God is dread and terrible. God is justifiable. I say again, we really need the right information to define these words, like what we call God. We really need to understand maybe what the ancients or other civilizations was talking about that get retranslated from their information to our books. We really need to understand that. Because here we have in a God telling a leader, make an army, form weapons, train them, Go over there. Kill every man, woman, and child, except, and don't question the commander, no, except the virgins, and bring over the booty. As well, all you're supposed to know is the booty, like the gold, and the silver, the sheep, the goat, yeah, them kind of thing. So just check this out. It even had text blatantly telling you that a portion of the booty was for Yahweh, was for God. Text is telling you a portion of the booty that Moses went over there and killed them people and bring back here. Part of it is for God. A portion of the booty. Yeah. God needs some gold too. Might sound funny. You know he needed some of the virgins too. What you feel is the purpose the virgins coming over? He command them to come over. He tell Moses bring over the virgins. Yeah. So go check the text. Is this the God? Infinite God? Omnipotent God? Omnipresent God? I ask him. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we need to know roots. And if we is just the branches, die the soil, we're holding the root. Right now instead of the root, die the soil. We're trying to investigate it. What's the nature of the components or composites of the soil? That's what we're trying to find. The source of the soil. Where the roots go. Where the stalks stand upon. Where the branches divert from. To form stem and leaf and fruit. Yeah. And we could go on and on looking for many correlations as to show, well, who really is this God in these texts? What is this God in these texts? Who render favor to some, unfavor to some, punishment to some, reward to some. But who did think everything according to his fitness. And all through some of these texts, we could see a correlation, or we could see what we would have called I'm trying to find the right word, but a battle. The word I'm looking for represents a battle that taking place. A battle that being orchestrated by higher forces. We just put it that way for the moment. By higher forces. To narrate these stories. Or to guide civilization. That we shouldn't come to the point understanding that who really is the true source of recreation. Who is the one subscribing to all human prayers, all human emotions, all human actions and deeds? Who is the one subscribing to all that energy, all that frequency? And if we just swing life, as I say, we could find more example in our real life than in our book, you know. We could find more example in our real life than a book, definitely. Yeah. As I say, there's many books we could go to, many civilization and timeline. Yeah. And we just look at life today on a real basis. You will grow up in a house. 3 brothers, 3 sisters. Let me just put it that way so we could have some polarity. Right? All you grow up as siblings. One parents. genuine loving, ever merciful, ever forgiving to one another and growing up. But as all you reach a level where all you could start to rationalize the ethics of religion, all you start to divert from being siblings, from being, all it is no longer be. As religion or the gene of worship enter the paradigm, the siblings right there and then get pulled apart when they're supposed to be more bonding. They now go on in different angles because at different beliefs, interpretations, because of different overstanding, because of polarity, because of different frequency, because these words, these vibrations and frequencies that animating from object to object and place to place. As I say again, me ain't no pastor and I never get a scholarship in religion. But we could reason according to thought. Or if you want to say thought. But we could reason. Yeah, we can. We could talk about anything we deem to talk about. But because the state of our mental paradigm that these school of thoughts put us into, that is why we're here trying to work out all these schematics. Some people say, I don't know who is God. Thank God I know who is God. Yeah, good. But none of we have a definition for God yet. Nah. None of we can see, hear, touch. The senses never animate that experience. You go hear people try to talk all kind of spiritual thing. God talked to me last night. God come in my dream. I got vision from God. Hey, damn, how you know all that stuff? To me, it's so precise. I mean, we know what we know, right? So you wouldn't wear out a man experience. If he say he experienced this, yeah, he experienced that, right? So true. If he experienced, he experienced. But the experiences could also be programmed. If we understand higher realms or paradigm, if we understand higher realms, the experiences could be programmed. We don't in a third dimension. So if we in a third, it would have dimensions under we as the second and the first, and it would have over we. So we experiences could be manipulated, knowing that we just in a third. See? And we can look at the aspect of our religion or the aspect of God and ask ourselves, cool? You grew up in a neighborhood and you and your neighbor talking good all the time. As they choose a religion or you choose one, you and them ain't two talking no more, you know. Now, if you ain't asking yourself, I asking myself, how when humans gravitate to God, they just get so selfish and self-opinionated and start to hate more than love? How did this progress more downward in the human thought than upward in the sanity? How? Because most of the most judgmental people you could find is people who say they know God and believe in God. These people are very outlandish and like ready to bust your throat. Use a devil. You know what I'm saying? But remember, we just reasoning, right? From thought. And the patriarchs and them we touch on, we could make an analysis right with these patriarchs' interaction with this plural, this singular entity called God. Right? But we could see then and then, in Moses' time, the singularity didn't exist. The singularity was now about to be developed. This is why the God say, or God said, worship no other God but me. Me, if he did say that to somebody else before Moses or some other race of people or civilization, I don't know. Right? But we see in for a fact, just as we see in the history of Egypt, in the temples of Amarna, right? Akhenaton was the first pharaoh to change monotheism into polytheism, right? It's just like Moses. We see it here in the Bible to be the first patriarch, right? To present one God. Because where Abraham come from, Abraham ain't come from a place of one God. As they try to tell me, Abraham worship one God. Abraham grew up in a place called the land of Chaldea, in the land of the Chaldees. And if we run through the timeline, maybe try and biblical encyclopedia or something if you want to look at it from that standpoint, and we look for the place geographically or where the word stand for, Chaldea, the land of the fire worshippers, the land of the demons, so to say, the land of the gods. Yeah, that is why Abraham's father, whose name was Terah, he was an artificer in making effigies, what we call today statues. Them statues, yeah, looking like the gods. And if he didn't have so many gods, how he making so many gods? He come up with that idea, to make effigies. And he's so smart. Everybody else was so dumb that they taking woodcraft what he make and saying is a god. Alright, I like this one here, Terah. This one look good. I will name, and he go say this one name Utububu, right? Utububu is to make rainfall. And we say they go that. Or that was some kind of applicable scheme that was easier to work, just like any religion today. How they say Jesus was a real person, and you could make effigies now of a Jesus and put it in society. A person could go in a store now and buy a Jesus idol and go with it. A person could be an artificer making Jesus idols today and be a skillful craftsman of it and making a daily bread. But the point I want to draw is, if the person that the effigy represent and exists, how the effigy represent exists, did the effigy come out of the artificer mind? It's just the idea creating something and present to public that the public will go along with the worship? Or was it already a construct religious system that the artificer was already just working with? But anyhow, Abraham's father was an artificer, right? And he was one who used to make these effigies, whether in wood, silver, gold, brass, dillium. That is what Terah used to do. Terah was also a respected man back in his time in Chaldea. He was one we could say would be like a high priest or someone who was allowed in the temple, which was not normal. So where Abraham come from was a place of many gods, not one. And these gods wasn't fiction. They wasn't in wood like we father was making, because his father didn't make them out of a fictional mind. His father make them out of a construct that was governing a society experience. Of an experienced society, just like how the Jews claim their effigies of Jesus Christ come from an experience of this guy. Jesus lived, died, and resurrected in his timeline. So we have to understand how to toggle with information. So Abraham never came from a place where it had one God. He come from a place where it had more than one gods. Because his father was a maker of effigies, as we now explain. And this one God called Abraham out of Chaldea and tell Abraham to go to Egypt and reside in Egypt. Egypt is the next place. A monotheism. Right? Egypt is home, like we home. Home and more monotheism again. That's like Chaldea. Monotheism means more than one. Here we are more than one. Rulers down here where we just call GOD or GODs. Yeah, and Abraham spent a quantity of time down there. But whilst he was down there, one God, one out of these many from the us in Abraham, in Adam time, one of them us, was talking to this guy and letting this guy know he is superior to the rest. Yeah, just like wasn't somebody talking to Adam and telling Adam that one of the us and them lied, and you're gonna become just like us, bro. So now we seeing here one of the said us telling Abraham, I's the real deal, not the rest. I'll send it on Egypt, make you safe. Until a specific time, I'll bring you out of there. But you will go back to Egypt again. Yeah, your generation will return back there. Why Egypt again? Why twice? Not once, Egypt twice. Twice the return. Alright, bro. And today now, historians go say, well, it prophesy against Egypt to fall because the house the children of Israel long live for 400 years and enslave the people. And if we do read this said book carefully, it subscribed that it was God, known as Yahweh, who placed the people in Egypt in slavery, in bondage, because they break the contract. Remember the contract, yeah? They break the contract. And when they break the contract, you now become a sinner. So they break the contract and become sinners. So they now lost their status. So you know what we do? No mercy, emotion. Check it out. Turn them into slaves for 400 years. He didn't get the blame. Egyptians get the blame. How the heck Egyptians get the blame? It had no recorded war where Egypt went out and fight these people and put them in slavery. It do have a recorded history, but it have biblical information stating that God put them in slavery. So how we gonna make an analysis and this God in this book, this Bible? Will we ascribe or subscribe? Again, as I say, I don't want to offend nobody religious society, nobody religious group, their beliefs, their concepts, or their morals. No, we just holding our reasoning, we just, vibrating with thought. As I say, we all have these books, and these books written in English. So, for those who understand me, they could check it from the English level. One moment. Am I like it? Yeah, give thanks again. Yeah, man. So when we make a rational analysis of it, with compiling, with reasoning, we will have to say, is this, will we ascribe before we subscribe to this God? Will we ascribe before we subscribe? I know a lot of brothers and sisters out there have a lot of scriptural references, interpretations they go like to bring out and present. You know what I'm saying? In this age, I don't think the doctrine of your Bible will be much of a benefactor or to be a lawyer in this in we court of judgment in this time. Due to the lack of evidence, it wouldn't be enough to set a mind free. We could stay in jail. It wouldn't be enough to grant we bail. It wouldn't be enough to give we solitude. Let me think about it. How many years we've been dabbling through this information. Still can't get right. Still ain't getting it right. Means I get right. And I need to get right, bro. We just need to understand true thought. Most of us went to school. And we know 1 and 1 ain't 2. But we had was to say 1 and 1 is 2 sometime. And some teachers was that dumb enough to say, alright, you're correct. But 1 plus 1 is the formula for 2. 1 plus 1. So it's at times when we know we're right. We intercede for the opposite. So we don't want to be right. As I say, we must love polarity. I don't think we could exist in a world we have right alone. This world do have right alone in it. This world don't composite of light alone in it. We live in a dual world. As we could see from the beginning of our topic, it was all duality. Let us make man. And when he made the man was an individual man. We could see that he made them male and female. Did he create them? Duality. And then we have a next story again. He make a next man. And then he make the man an next partner. A woman. Duality. So give thanks again, brethren and sisters. It was nice holding our vibes and having a reasoning, you know. As we should all do. Condition your mind with a good topic. Because you may hardly get it. You know what I'm saying? The condition your mind with a good topic. Yeah. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See? And remember, so this is my first live. So give thanks for those who will be supporting this live. I ain't expect everybody to variate with me. Because we don't need, it's not that we need. See? We ain't looking for the yeah. We looking for the thought. That is why we here. For the thought. See? So until again, as we say, give thanks. Be safe, people. Always be thoughtful. Always be mindful. Remember the all is in the all. You're never alone. Give thanks.